So if I have a budget of around 20,000 INR and I want to buy a stock Android phone, then there are two offerings. The recently launched Motorola G71 starts at 18,999 and then you have the OnePlus Nord CE which again starts at 22,999. So there's a clear difference of 4,000 in the OnePlus Nord CE. So is the OnePlus Nord CE worth that extra 4,000? So the question is, if you have a budget of 20,000, should you buy the Moto G71 or the Nord CE? Well, this is Pratik, you are already watching TechWiser and this is the comparison of the Motorola G71 and the OnePlus Nord CE. Let's go. Okay, now before we begin, here are the specs of both Moto G71 and Nord CE on paper. These are the specs difference, but specs are specs. The real life usage is quite different, and to make this entire picture easy for you, we are giving away points to both the phones. Here you see both Moto G71 and OnePlus Nord CE are compact phones. Both have a plastic back and plastic frame, and the Moto G71 weighs in about 180 grams and the Nord CE weighs in about 172 grams. And see here, I love this. Motorola has now moved the power button way below at the bottom, so now it's much more reachable, but again, the Google Assistant button is way here at the top. It's like, why? Like, I can access the Google Assistant this way right here rather than reaching the button here way at the top. I loved OnePlus's approach on this side. You place the volume button, power button and alert slider on the other side. Oh, this doesn't have an alert slider. Sorry. The first OnePlus phone to come without an alert slider, but if you are a first time OnePlus user, it won't matter much. Both have only 2 SIM card slots, no micro SD card expansion, but since the base variant starts at 128 GB, it shouldn't be a problem. And by the way, the Nord CE has an in-display fingerprint scanner, whereas the Moto G71 has a physical fingerprint scanner. And the scanning process in physical fingerprint scanners are really fast. Like, see here, it's closed. And now I just have to tap and open. See, one more time, closed. And I just have to tap and open. Whereas in physical fingerprint scanner, you have to press and hold for some time. Like here, if I just tap, doesn't work. Tap, now it works. So you have to press and hold a bit to scan. Now in terms of build quality, I would give 1 point each both to Moto G71 and Nord CE, same. Now both phones have a 1080p AMOLED display, but the Nord CE has a 90Hz display, and the difference in day-to-day life is visible. Like even if you are randomly scrolling through Twitter or reading an article on Google Chrome, the 90Hz display feels much more smoother. And both the displays don't have Gorilla Glass protection. On Nord CE you get Dragon Tail protection, and on Moto G71 there is some sort of hardened glass, but we don't know the name. And one more interesting thing, this Moto unit that we have is a factory unit. We don't have any box or charger with it, and turns out there's no wideband L1 support as of now. Well, we just received the retail unit of Moto G71 and it has wideband L1. So in terms of display, I would give 1 point to Nord CE for 90Hz. Let's check the camera here outside. So now if you look at the photo of Manu over here, and if you look at his skin tone and his shirt, Moto seems to be boosting the color a bit. This is very interesting, and for the first time I've seen, Moto usually takes real life colors and real life photos, but here it seems to be boosting a bit. So I think people like this. And funny thing, here is a portrait mode photo which we took, and in this photo, the HDR is better on the Nord CE and the Moto G71 has it a bit blown out. But if you look here and closely zoom in, you can see around Manu's face, it's a glowing white region which is called HDR artifact. So HDR processing is a bit weird on OnePlus Nord CE. And here's one more interesting thing which I noticed while we were taking photos. If you take photo like this on both the phone and suppose your hands are shaky and you do this, the Nord CE seems to take kind of blurry photos, whereas the Moto G71 photos are sharp. So the shutter speed is kind of weird on the Nord CE. And now while we were taking photo of this white building, here you can see on the OnePlus Nord CE there is kind of a pinkish tint, and when you switch to the wide angle camera, the issue is more evident now. You can see a lot more pinkish tint, whereas the colors are pretty good on the Moto one, it's still yellow. Now let me click a picture. Now this pink cast issue I've seen on the OnePlus Nord CE since I reviewed it long time back, and the Moto G71 on the other hand is more towards the yellow side, warmer tone, so that's more color accurate, a bit warm but more color accurate. Now while we were taking photos and videos, I realized that the Moto G71 at times increases the white balance and boosts the colors quite a lot to make it eye-pleasing. Sometimes it gets more oversaturated and it needs to be fixed with a software update. Like if you see this video, the yellow-white balance is too boosted and the colors are a lot boosted. Now, one thing that you would miss is that the Moto G71 can only do 1080p 60 fps, whereas the Note CE can do 4K 30 fps. So I would give this 1 point for camera to the Moto G71. It has a bit of boosted colors, but it is more color accurate. The wide angle camera is more sharper and again consistent, and that shutter lag thing doesn't happen on the Moto G71. Moto G71 comes with Snapdragon 695, whereas Note CE comes with Snapdragon 750G. Now, in the first impression, the Snapdragon 695 might look like an inferior processor than Snapdragon 750G in Note CE, but it's the opposite. See here in Geekbench, Snapdragon 695 beats Snapdragon 750G. In Antutu, the scores are a bit better on OnePlus Note CE. Now, I was confused. So to do that, I did a real life video render test in Vita video editor. Okay, now let me put the same winter frame filter on both the videos. Now that we have done applying style, the export is 1080p on both the phones, and now let me just export 1, 2, 3. So yes, the Moto G71 completed first and about 10-15 seconds faster, but yeah, it wins. I mean, it's a Snapdragon naming error and it's confusing for the user as well. One more thing which is confusing is Motorola's UMCP storage. So UMCP is a combination of LPDDR4X RAM plus UFS kind of storage. OnePlus Note CE on the other hand has the same LPDDR4X RAM and UFS 2.1 storage, and I did a read and write test. Mostly it's the same. Motorola G71 is a bit better, but it's a new phone, so it scores a bit better as of now. So yes, here's the thing that we always say at TechWiser. You don't buy phones based on the spec sheet. Watch reviews and subscribe once again. I mean, if you haven't subscribed, if you are subscribed, don't do it for the second time. Not good for health. And if you game, here's one more interesting thing. On BGMI, both phones can play smooth graphics and ultra frame rates. That's 40 FPS, which is weird for this price range. Now, I understand Moto G71 has a very new 695 processor. The update might arrive in some time, but this Note CE is about 6 to 7 months old. Still no support. 750G supports 60 FPS. And as well as you can see, there's this auto brightness sensor is so sensitive, like the brightness automatically fluctuates when I'm gaming, which is very distracting. The solution is to just disable auto brightness, or you can lock the brightness. I didn't have this problem on the Moto G71. It ran pretty well at 40 FPS. But there's one region where most users consider buying OnePlus and Motorola phones, which is yes, the close to stock Android experience. The Note CE runs on Oxygen OS and Motorola G71 runs on MyUX. Both of them come with Android 11 right out of the box. Now we all know that Moto's stock Android experience, there is no bloat, no adware. There's Facebook from Meta, which you can uninstall. And you also get Motorola exclusive features like Chop Chop to Flash. I personally use it a lot. Now, OnePlus Note CE runs on Oxygen OS right now. With Android 12, you'll get ColorOS integrated Oxygen OS, but as of now, it's Oxygen OS. And there are bugs. Even while multitasking, there are frame drops, jitter, and it sometimes skips animation. And even the day-to-day usage of the phone, we have covered in the OnePlus Note CE review as well. You can watch it over here. The Note CE has occasional app crashes. And even if you see the time both phones take to open the camera, everything is removed from the memory, and now I'm opening the camera live. So see, Moto G71 is a bit faster, and this is one task that you will do daily. So keeping all of that aside, OnePlus Note CE gives you these features like always on display, secret folder, app lock, etc. You can also install OnePlus Old Dialer and then record calls without announcement. Whereas in Moto, you have this
call is now being recorded
announcement. So one for Moto G71 for the stable UI. And Moto G71 has a bigger 5000 mAh battery compared to OnePlus Note CE's 4500 mAh battery, and owing to the stock Android and 60Hz OLED display, it runs easily for 1.5 days. And for the first time, Motorola has put a 33 watt charger with the G71. If you remember, they usually have a 20 watt charger in the box with G31 and G51. So it's a win here. And you get 11 bands of 5G on G71, whereas you get 1 band of 5G in Note CE. But you get really good 3CA carrier aggregation on both the devices. I checked it with my Geo SIM. In terms of extra sensors, you get all the important sensors like gyroscope, ambient light, 3.5mm headphone jack, and even NFC. Both phones have NFC. However, Moto G71 doesn't have a compass sensor. I don't know why. The cheaper G31 and G51 had a compass sensor, but G71 doesn't have it. So again, 1 point to OnePlus Nord CE for not removing any important sensors. So Moto G71 gets a win, but in my opinion, the final reason why OnePlus is charging 4,000 more than the Moto G71 is Oxygen OS. But do you think this 4,000 extra is justified for Oxygen OS, especially after the OnePlus and ColorOS merger? I don't think so. And the major reason I wouldn't recommend getting OnePlus Nord CE is that OnePlus Nord CE 2 is just around the corner, a month or two. Whereas Moto G71, well, it is priced at 18,999. It's one of the few 5G phones that come with an AMOLED display. You get similar performance, 5000 mAh battery, 33 watt charging for 4,000 cheaper. So it makes more sense to get the Moto G71. If you still need the 90Hz OLED display, S20 Fusion is also a good option at 21,499. So I've tried to make the comparison clear and transparent and helpful for you guys. I hope this video clears your doubts and I get a like in return. 5,000 likes maybe. Also, I'll be doing a video on Moto G31, G51 and G71. Which one to buy if you're confused between these three Motorola series. On that note, this is Pradeep from TechWiser.com. You can watch our unboxing of G51 and G31 in case you want. And I'll see you pretty soon.